Hello everybody, Ghostblade 1062 here with another locomotive review. Today we will be looking at a Athearn Genesis SD60E in the Norfolk and Southern Veterans paint scheme, road number 6920. And now let's move on to the unboxing. Alright, looking at the box, on the front here we have the Athearn Genesis logo in gold, with the bottom of the box having the logo as well, along with an age restriction warning and a chemical usage warning. The top also has the logo, as does the right side of the box. The right side also has the Athearn website listed, as well as the Horizon Hobby logo and the address. The back of the box is a blank white. However, on the left hand of this side of the box, we do actually have some information. So again, we have the Athearn Genesis logo, and here we also see that the locomotive is equipped with a Tsunami 2 decoder, as well as LED lighting. It is product ID ATHG 65293 with sound. So this is a DCC and sound locomotive. It is the Norfolk Southern SD60E, road number 6920, the Veterans locomotive. And then in here we have the product barcode. Taking off the lid, first of all, here we have the operator's guide, which has our handling and maintenance instructions, it has our function chart, DCC and sound instructions, a list of CVs including the different horns and bells, as well as the different motor sounds. We also have some more detailed information about some of the functions. And then finally a full CV list. Followed by some troubleshooting information, and finally the warranty. Also included, we have an exploded diagram, with parts list, a warranty sheet, and finally the Athearn advertisement sheet. Now, taking off the soft foam topper here, we get access to the clamshell that actually houses the locomotive. And here near the top, we have a slot that should contain some spare detail parts. But first, I'll get this clamshell out so that I can actually get at it. And here we have a couple of rotating bearing caps and some pins. So not a lot of spare detail parts, but still nice to have. And now, sliding off the outer sleeve, and with the styrofoam in here, it does make it a quite the tight fit. We can pop open the clamshell. And we do have some softer plastic on the top of the locomotive here to help protect the paint. Ooh, it's got good weight to it too. And we have this foam in here on either side to help protect the handrails and the package. And here we have the locomotive. So next up, we can move on to the detail overview section of the video. Time to take a closer look at the locomotive. Starting at the front here, we have our plow, through which we have our airline and MU cables running, which are separately fitted and silver tipped. We also have our brake line detailing here. We have our plastic knuckle coupler. And then going up towards the top of the frame here, we have our yellow painted separately fitted handrails on either side with matching grab irons. Sitting right on top of the walkway, we have our separately fitted ditch lights. And the walkway is corrugated. On the handrail here, we have our molded, our plastic chain detailing here as well. And off to the right, we have our separately fitted grab irons leading up to the top of the short cab, which has its own separately fitted grab irons as well as its two sand filler hatches. On the front of the hood, we also have the Norfolk Southern Stallion design, which is right on the center of the front door, which has some molded in hinge and door handle detailing. We have our clear plastic front windows, which allow us to see into the cab, as well as our separately fitted windshield wipers. And above that, we have our headlights as well as our number boards. Moving onto the side of the locomotive. Starting at the front here, we can see our steps going up to the top of the walkway here. And the front edging of each step is painted a warning yellow color so that it stands out from the rest and is more visible. Then looking at our trucks, we have our brake detailing here, as well as we have rotating bearing caps. Now moving on to the side of the cab here, we again have our glazed plastic windows with silver lining, and above that we have a sunshade. Beneath the window we have the road number of the locomotive, this being 6920, and beneath that the locomotive type, this being an SD60E, all of which is nice and legible. And then towards the back of the cab here, we have a rear window with windshield with a wiper. Then moving back from there, we have 2 exhaust air vents. And we have along the full length our separately fitted handrails. And I'm having a little bit of trouble getting my camera to focus here. Come on. There we go. Moving on, we have our fuel tank underneath with our fuel cap and emergency shutoff, as well as an air reservoir tank. Moving along the side of the body, we have our yellow veterans ribbon with the printing honoring our veterans on the side. And here we also see the molded in detailing for the various access panels. And moving further towards the back, we have our NS reporting marks. We have 2 vents for the radiator fans on the side here. And we have our separately fitted brake wheel, along with our rear steps, which again are painted on the front edge yellow. Now moving on to the rear of the locomotive. We again have our brake and air lines and MU cables. We have our knuckle hole coupler. We have, on top of the walkway again, we have our ditch light. Here we have our rear ditch lights. And we have our separately fitted handrails again on the rear as well. Though what I do notice here is we have some paint that it got scraped off on or not applied properly on this handrail near the bottom, which is a shame. Then looking at the back of the long hood here, we have our separately fitted handrails, or grab irons I should say, leading up to the top of the long hood. Here in the center we have an American flag right beneath the Norfolk Southern Stallion, above which we have our rear number boards and our rear lights. And now looking at the other side of the locomotive, we again have much of the same detailing. We have our grids for airflow. We have the NS reporting marks, the honoring our veterans writing and yellow ribbon. We have our various access panels. But on the back of this side of the cab, we actually do have a door with a couple of steps going up to it. But aside from that, the detailing is much the same. We again have our air reservoir on this side as well as our fuel cap and emergency fuel shutoff. And looking at now moving on to the top of the locomotive, we have our antenna array here on top of the cab, followed by our two fans here coming right before our exhaust stack. Then towards the rear of the locomotive we have our 5-chime horn, which is finally followed by our 3 radiator fans. And the paneling does have some riveting detailing around the edges as well. And we have some rooftop access panels here as well, which have some hinge detailing. And that covers the detail overview section of the video. All in all, a very nice looking locomotive. The paint job is very nice. And next, we will move on to the rip track segment of the video. Time for the rip track segment. To start with, we are going to verify the wheel gauge using the NMRA standards gauge. Starting with the front truck, axle 1 is good, axle 2 is good, and axle 3 is good. Now moving on to the rear truck, axle 1 is good, axle 2 is good, and axle 3 is good. So all of our axles are at proper height, at proper gauge. Now we'll put the locomotive on some track here to verify the coupler height. And the front coupler is good. And now for the rear coupler. Okay, we're sitting flush. The rear coupler is just a touch low, but not so low that it would cause any major issues. That being said, in the future, once I get another pack, I will be replacing the couplers with KD metal knuckle couplers. But as it stands, the locomotive is now ready to be taken over to the track for a function test. Alright, I've got the locomotive put on the track now, and we'll turn on the track power, which will also immediately activate the prime mover sounds, as this is a Tsunami 2 decoder, which is programmed in such a way. And from my accidental increase in speed there, we can see this locomotive doesn't really have a gradual acceleration, but rather a pretty sudden jump. So to get a gradual increase in speed, you need to watch your speed steps, for which I have this locomotive set to 128. And moving in reverse at speed step 1, it is moving pretty smoothly. Speed step 2. Speed step 1 going forward. And now on to the actual functions of the locomotive. Starting with function 0, the directional lighting. And with that, we got a nice warm yellow headlight. And moving on to the rear, we got a nice warm rear light as well. Function 1 is the bell. Function 2 is the horn. Function 3 is the short horn. However, That can also be changed over to a grade crossing horn by changing CV37. Function 4 is the dynamic brakes. Function 5 is the ditch lights, which are a lot brighter than the actual headlights, and they are also directional. Function 6 is the number board lights. Which only affect the front of the unit. Function 7 is cab chatter. And this is fairly quiet. Function 8 is a mute function. Function 9 is a half volume function. Function 10 is the straight to 8 and sanding valve. Function 11 is the brake set and release. Function 12 is the brake select. Function 13 is the coupling sounds. Function 14 is the half speed and momentum override. Function 15 is the handbrake. Function 16 is HEP mode. Function 17 is the fuel loading sequence. Function 18 is the general service sequence. Function 19 is straight to idle. Function 20 is the steam generator and auxiliary HEP generator on and off. Functions 21 and 22 are unassigned. 23 is the all aboard announcement. Function 24 is auxiliary lighting effect number 1. And 25 is auxiliary lighting effect number 2. Function 26 is manual notch up. And finally, function 27 is manual notch down. And that covers all of our functions. So now I will give the locomotive some time to run in and we'll get some run-by shots of the locomotive on its own as well as with a manifest train. Alright everybody, this concludes my review of the Athearn Genesis SD60E in the Norfolk Southern Veterans Scheme, road number 6920. All in all, it is a very nice locomotive. It is running decently, though I have been getting a lot of squeaking from the trucks, so I will have to go through and make sure they're properly greased, as well as making sure the other lubrication is good. Aside from that, the only other issue I really had was I had that one spot on the handrail near the rear locomotive where it was missing the yellow paint. But aside from that, the paint job was spot on. So all in all, just a couple of minor issues with the locomotive, but nothing that is outstanding that would really cause any issues with operations. And a nice addition to the collection. That being said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment, and subscribe for more model railroad content. Have a great day, everybody!